you want to sign on to this project? Because it's not, I don't see it very easy to bring a series about someone from the past history where it's like a balance of good and bad memory of.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I was sort of interested in understanding how we got to where we are, and what this word fascism really meant, how it all started, to try and make sense of where we are. And um, and it was a fascinating journey. I mean, the thing about fascism is that at its center is a kind of void, it's against a lot of things, but it's not necessarily for anything other than its own self-interest. So that was a great education to me, on which the show is based. Works with lots of different media. There is interview and newspaper articles and fiction and even telegrams and letters. So it's a kind of collage of different media. And so I was thinking about how best to do that for television, and thought I'd try and find the equivalent idea within cinema. So that includes, talking directly to camera, and dramatic fictional scenes, and also newspaper news reel footage, to try and kind of give lots of different angles on the same subject.
The dark comedy. I enjoy dark
Yeah,
comedy, but
yeah,
I enjoyed it. And one that I had a kick in was from the beginning where he kind of like compares himself to Benito Juarez. You know, I'm
yes,
Mexican, so I was like, oh my gosh, I was laughing my ass off because I was like, that is hilarious. Like the way his perception of himself,
yeah.
like
Well, he
how it
was
took him
named
to that.
after him. He was named after him. That's why he was called Benito. Mussolini's father was a staunch socialist, and so named him Benito. But he has a kind of, he's one of those characters who sort of self-aggrandizes himself and at the same time despises himself. We know those people.
And you took this series in a spin of like this artsy way, and also having the character of Luca as the character of Mussolini also narrating at the same time. Can you talk about adding that on the series?
Yeah, I mean, I never really set out to make something kind of artsy. I just set out to try and tell the story as best and most articulately, that's not very articulate, as I can, and whatever way in which I feel like I can tell the story most clearly is the right way to tell it. Um, Luca's character Mussolini talking directly to the camera really came from this cross the barrier of history and time, and to speak directly to a contemporary
It
audience.
makes it different, and then we kind of get a more feel
Mm,
of what is going on.
mm.
Um, Another thing, let's talk about Luca playing Benito Mussolini and that portrayal, the transformation, it was brilliant.
He's a great actor, Luca. He's a really extraordinary actor, and I'm very lucky to have worked with him. He has an amazingly powerful imagination, and his imagination almost plays a trick on us. It's so powerful that it it means we instinctively imagine whatever he is imagining. It's like a spell he puts on us. He's, grew up in a very anti-fascist family, and in fact, his grandmother said to him when he told her that he was going to be an actor, she said, "Well, as long as you never play Mussolini." and here he was. But yeah, he's a great human being and a great actor.
So you mentioned how the series is based on a book. How do you dive into this when it's something based on something that's already been written? Do you guide yourself through the book, or do you kind of go based on how you envision it yourself?
Well, I guess, the book is what happens in your mind as you read it. And that there is many different versions of a book as there are readers. So I guess I tried to kind of convey the book that happened in my mind as I read it. And if it had a kind of honesty for me, then it would have an honesty for other people. But it's a very dense and complicated book. And so finding the threads and trying to understand what was going to be fitting for the show, and what had to be left behind was certainly a
I,
challenge.
I wasn't too familiar,
Hmm.
but I remember reading like some people like feel like like Mussolini did some good things somehow, but then kind of Hitler was like the bad apple that came. But how do you feel that the perception of that, and then
I think
bringing
that's a
this
very,
in?
very misguided perception of him and a very dangerous one. Mussolini invented far-right populism as it is today, and invented fascism. And that's an ideology based on the exploitation of the legitimate concerns of the people for self-gain, of those rising to power. It's based on manipulation and lies, and if not violence, then the threat of violence. It is by its nature anti-democratic. And although democracy is not perfect, it's the best we've come up with so far. So I think it's extremely dangerous to suggest that he's kind of, well, he's not as bad as Hitler. Hitler was his own psychopath, but Mussolini really paved the way for Hitler. Hitler was a fanboy of Mussolini's, right early on, and what Mussolini did was devastating to the lives of many hundreds of thousands of people. I think, cometh the hour, cometh the man, and I think that there was a kind of, after the First World War, there was a kind of vacuum there, that he took advantage of and filled. I mean, I think that the other traditional parties were floundering, and Mussolini stepped in and offered simple slogans, simple ideas, for a nation in crisis, and disregarding the complexities of the situation. They all leapt at these simple lies.
Hmm. Well, thank you, Joe, for your time. Congratulations on the series.
Betsy.
People will be watching it soon this Wednesday.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Good conversation with you.